welcome to our channel again, where we talk about things pertaining to Africa and things that will help and inform you and which will lead you to make right decisions. Here we do our best to lift up the continent of Africa by the information that we give you. We talk about great leaders, we talk about what they have done and why people decided to get rid of them, which is the case today. We're going to talk about Patrice Emery Lumumba of the DRC. This is what I want to talk to you about today. But before I talk about Patrice Lumumba, I want to ask you this favor. If you do like the content that we're sharing here on this channel, then please, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. Give us thumbs up and share this link with other people so that they can also be watching the news air. Thank you so much for doing so. Today I want to talk about Patrice Lumumba. We know that this hero of the Democratic Republic of Congo was a nationalist. He died at the age of 38, still a young man. At the ripe of his time, he was taken away. But why? But before we go there, let me just say this. There is one thing that we supposed to know, is that the West does not like strong leadership. The West does not like national or people who are nationalistic in their orientation or in their ideology. And this was the case with Patrice Lumumba, who did not so much like or appreciate how things were happening in time of the colonialism. He didn't quite like the way the Belgians were conducting themselves. He didn't like the subjugation of the black people. He didn't like what was happening in all aspects of life, because he knew that the land belonged to him and to his people. Why weren't they allowed to have access to the things that were coming out of their soil, out of their ground, and to the things that were rightfully theirs? Why should they be treated as less than human beings because of their different of color? And why should different people come and rule over us? I mean, he had to deal with all these questions, which obviously led to his arrest and eventually his murder. So we do understand that when Patrice Lumumba was in government, he obviously he didn't like what he was seeing that was happening on the ground in terms of his fellow countrymen. He didn't like the disrespect. He didn't like the sort of, if you like, the way they were treated, the salary that they were getting, and the relationship that existed between them and their white counterpart. Now, this caused a lot of grief in his heart and a lot of anger. And I suppose he was he wanted to bring about a revolution that will forever affect the DRC or the Democratic Republic of Congo and many countries in Africa. After learning, and he took away from what he could from crewmen in Ghana, Patrice Emery Lumumba wanted to help his country to emancipate itself from colonialism, that what the Belgians were doing to Congolese at the time. It was so appalling that he said, no, we're not going to go on like this. Now, what did he do? He obviously influenced people around them like many other strong leaders will do. He influenced people around them, and they said, no, we must emancipate ourselves. And while he was doing that, obviously he was hated by the West, who for some reason had an idea or thought or believed that he was now siding with Russia, with communist countries, in order to bring about communism in Africa. So they wanted really to oppose him by all means, because they didn't like that influence to come in Africa. So what happened is, because of that, because of his stance, his position, his rejection of the West influence in the Congo, it made him to become an evil, if you like, in the sight of Western powers. And they cooked up a plan in New York called, they wanted to get rid of him. And so the operation was called Baracuda. They actually initiated this in New York, where they planned to get rid of Patrice Emery Lumumba. And obviously we know that this was with the blessings of the Belgians and many of the Western powers. They had enough of him. But why? Why do they have enough of him? Why should Africa be always at the mercy of Western powers? Why can't Africans speak for themselves? Why can't African demand what they believe is their right? Why can't African rise to say no if they don't agree with something? Why should African just always be down, looking down, and always crying, and always going around depressed and demoralized? Why? These are the things that Lumumba didn't agree with. He said, no, God, if this is what it's meant to be, no, I want to be different. He said no to that kind of rule. He said no to that kind of way of being. He wanted the Congo to stand and all Africa to stand and to bring about human dignity so we can work and be equal with any other beings or persons that were around us. And with those kind of views, he was not welcome. They did everything so they can get rid of him. To get rid of him, what did they do? Now, the only approach, the one that they believed could actually submit to their bidding, the one that would listen to them and in whom they found such a strong desire to become a leader. And you know, like we said, is to divide and to conquer. That is their strategy. Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. If you look at today, the kind of conflict that we have today, even between Rwanda and the DRC and in many countries in Africa, ethnic or tribal problems that we have. It is because that's what they did to Africans, is to really raise up one tribe against another one and tell them of their differences. In case of what's happened in Rwanda, you have the Hutus and the Tutsis. Now they've fought against themselves and killed each other because they told them that, look, you're different than this one has got this, you don't have that, look, this one is lighter, this one is darker, this and that. This means that you are superior than them, you're more intelligent. They put them in administration and all of that, and there's some people that were working in the field and so on and so forth. So you see, all of these divisions were just basically to cause them to look at each other with that kind of, like I'm better than you and we can't, just to create division. And when that happens, it's always them that win. So this is what we see happen in the story of Lumumba. So they had to actually approach someone who was closer to him, which was back then Mobutu, who was somehow was viewed as an ally, someone who would listen to Western powers. They knew that if we can actually help him, because back he was an army officer and he was high rank, and they knew that by actually using him and he could actually bring Lumumba down. And that's what they did. They corrupted the man because he had a strong desire in him to become a leader anyway, to be the president. So they actually fed into him because they knew that. They said, okay, let us help you to become that individual, but in return you have to give us Patrice Lumumba's head on the table. And that's what they did. He actually maneuvered everything so that Lumumba can be arrested and sent to Elizabethville, and that's where he actually died. We know it is a sad story, but the point I'm trying to make is whenever a leader that stands up and is a strong leader wants to help its country, wants to help his or her country to move forward, there will always be people that will stand against them. This is why we see what's happening in Burkina Faso. We see what is happening today in the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, with President Tshisekedi. He's standing up so he can fight for his country, so he can lift his country from the rubbles, from where it is at the moment. But yes, the West and the international community, hypocrisy can be seen because they don't like it. They don't like him. They don't like people like him, like his predecessor Lumumba, they're actually thinking, look, this person here is not working for us, and he's trying to lift up his country from where he stands. So he's someone that they hate already. But I believe what happened to Lumumba would not happen to him. He's a strong man, and he believes in his God, and he trusts in what he's doing. And I believe the people of the Congo like him as well. So therefore, there is no such, with everything that we Africans have already learned, we would not let such a thing happen again. Let us learn the right lessons and move forward. I will come back with some more information about Lumumba. Please, if you do like the content here, please give us thumbs up, share this link, and get more people to subscribe. And give us your comments. The more comments we have, the better it is. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye now.